Hello, good evening.
Mm.
Tonight, Rosh Chodesh Teves, um, Shabbos Chanukah, and today was also Reb Avram, Reb Nachman's the Baal, the Yortzeit of the Baal Bir Likutim, the son of Nachman from Tulchin, Noson's Talmud, and an immense Jew. And Hanukkah, it's everything all together, Kananahara. So then we have Yosef, coming to Parai, everything, everything that goes along with it, with the famous kasha of Yosef is asking the Saramashkim, to remember him. That's one kasha, but many people ask the kasha, like Yosef was the king in Mitzrayim. When he became king of Mitzrayim, ostensibly should have been.
I have no idea.
I'm sorry. Ostensibly, should have been very easy for him to send a messenger to his father, let him know that he's alive. And people may wonder, what kind of what is his midos, But those who ask this question disregard the much bigger kasha, and that was that, and there's also the teretz of that, that Yitzchak Avinu was alive when this was taking place. And Yitzchak Avinu, gives them a meaning to what's pshat midas a gvura. We understand gvura means that you impose your will on someone else. Yitzchak Avinu is the ultimate proof that midas a gvura is imposing your will on yourself. Yitzchak Avinu saw Yaakov Avinu that he is, crying and grieving for Yosef Atzadik, and Yitzchak Avinu knows that Yosef is alive. So comes the question: how can, why didn't he tell Yaakov Avinu about that? So Rashi says that on the spot, that he said, if Hashem doesn't tell him, why should I tell him? In other words, the reasonings of the patriarchs and the Shvatim were way beyond our understanding. I'm not sure what is the, let's see, what is the mute here goes on and off. So Yosef did not let his father know, because his dream, he said that his 11 brothers, bow down to him. If he was going to let his father know, one thing is for sure, only 10 brothers would come down to him because Binyamin was not part of Mechiras Yosef. Why should he bow down to his brother? Yaakov, when he interpreted the dream, he says, Abo Navoy, do you think that we will come to bow down to you, me and your mother and your brothers? So Yosef knew that in order to be Mekayim, whatever it is that needs to be done, what Kadosh Baruch Hu decreed is that his brothers need to come to him. If it means that he stays, his father has to go through whatever he has to go through for 7 more years, so be it. Yitzchak makes the same cheshbon. Hashem doesn't tell him. I'm not going to tell him. How can you? You see your son is grieving, he's broken, is inconsolable, literally inconsolable. But the answer is to always, see things and behave things according to Hashem's view. This is what Avraham Avinu taught his son Yitzchak, what Yitzchak taught Yaakov, and he taught all the Shvatim. That is, Elokim Yirela Selo Elo, because Baruch Hu will see the whatever sacrifice he wants. I rely on Kodesh Baruch Hu's vision and not on my vision, not on my human, limited human view of things, but Kodesh Baruch Hu's. So it was actually taken one step further for me. I spoke to my Rav of Simcha Balev today. I mean, not today, but yesterday, and Erev Shabbos. And I spoke to him about that which we spoke when we learned Torah Lamed Ches, and on Thursday when we learned in Medrash, that Rabbeinu says that a person needs to remove the foolishness from him. That is supposed to remove the to stay away from the women's beauty. I told him, I don't know, I can't handle my own stupidity. I can't remove it. I mean, it's like I'm doing things that I know I shouldn't be doing, and I don't do things that I know I should be doing, and I just, I'm stuck. I can't help it. He said, "You're saying very well, but what is the pshat? What is the betachos lemaisa? What is the pshat?" So I said, "He's supposed to cry out to Kodesh Baruch Hu, down." He says, "No, that's not the pshat." He said, and he really threw me for a loop. He says, the pshat is whatever a Kodesh Baruch Hu does is good. In other words, what does it mean? I mean, I'm supposed to not press the pedal to the metal, do whatever it is that I can, and cry for the fact that I'm doing nonsense. Of course, it doesn't mean that. It means that overall there is a certain kind of recognition. Everything Hashem does is good, including this quagmire that I'm in between, Olim Yitzri, Olim Yitzri. Here I am, and what on earth do I have? What's going on with me? Everything Hashem does is good. You're supposed to be totally hopeful, grateful, calm, and totally desperate and frantic at the same time. Let's dive into Sipurey Baal Shemtov. So, tonight's story, Ner Laderech, of course, Hanukkah, Ner Laderech. Here we go. The way of the Baal Shemtov was sometimes to spend Shabbosim outside the city. And one time he was a guest by a wealthy person who was one of his Hasidim. Motzei Shabbos, Baal Shemtov became ready to continue on his way. He asked the rich person to give him a certain article for, like a memento. So Baal Shem Tov took the rich person asked the Baal Shem Tov that he should give him some kind of a memento from that visit. The Baal Shem Tov took a candle and gave it to him. Well, this wealthy man understood that there is a great kavanah in these things. And he took the candles between his, put it in his personal possessions. Well, time passed, and this wealthy person went on a business trip, and he stopped in the hotel, and figuring he's going to spend the night there. And when he got into the room, the hotel manager or the innkeeper gave him, he noticed something strange. Instead of giving him the key, the innkeeper locked the door from the outside. So, having no choice, the rich man started, getting enraged. Suddenly he realized that the candle that was put in the room is hollow. There's no fuel in it, except a little bit of some wax, whatever it is, on the very top. So it looks like a regular candle. While he was doing it, this rich man, was stuck in this pitch dark room without even knowing where the door was. And he became very scared. He didn't know what to do. So while he was doing this, he remembered the Baal Shem Tov gave him a candle. And that Motzei Shabbos, he understood that this is what the Baal Shem Tov gave him the candle for. So he took the candle, and he lit it up and searched the room. And after a great deal of searching, he was able to find the door that was concealed in the walls of the room. And he realized that the door was locked from the outside by the innkeeper. And, he became very distressed. He's in the hands of somebody, pretty weird, pretty nefarious. The rich man continued searching the room with his candles, trying to find a way out. He noticed that there is a chest under the bed, and he moved it, and he saw another door. And he opened the door underneath the bed, and he realized he saw dead bodies of people, that it was obvious that they were killed a long time before. And some of them were recently, killed, and he realized that he was now the prisoner of a mass murderer. And he has to find some kind of way out. But that wealthy person was mechazik himself in emunah and bitochen. And so this is what he did. He took one corpse that was very obvious that was just killed, and he dressed that corpse with his own clothing, and he put a coin into the pocket of the clothing, and he puts it on his bed. When covered with a blanket, and the blanket is over his head. And he himself hid himself in that hole where all the other corpses were. And sometimes later, the door opens on the room above. The innkeeper comes to the bed and hits the head of the corpse with his knife, looks at his clothing until he finds the coin, and leaves the room. Well, when the day, when it was morning, he came out of the pit, opened the window, and thinking, maybe he'll jump off the window and save his life. While he was getting ready to jump off, he sees the carriage of one of the Pritzim, one of the landowners there, going on the lane underneath the window. So he screamed and he said, "Help, help, save me." So the person came to the window and he heard from this wealthy man about the innkeeper, the murderer. So the poet came with his servants to the inn, and he asked the innkeeper, "Who's that person? That resides in this room?" He says, "That person, in this room." The innkeeper said, "He's somebody, that he's not really normal. He went out of his mind. I didn't have any choice. I had to lock him in the room." So the landowner became very upset. He says, "Who are you trying to fool? You're not ashamed of yourself? I know that person for long. I know that he's very smart. It's not true. You are a murderer and you're going to kill him very, very soon. Open the door now." So the innkeeper opened the door under the threats of the landowner, and lo and behold, all the murders were, revealed to everyone, and obviously they took him to jail until his trial, and whatever it is, his punishment will be. So the rich person understood that all the story of his atzala, of his rescue, came from that memento that he got from Baal Shemtov. So he went to Baal Shemtov and told him everything that happened. Shemtov told him, "You should know that the source of your rescue is in the Torah, in the Pasuk, in Pashas Shoftim, Tochin Lecha Haderech. Prepare the road for yourself in advance." In other words, when a person leaves for the road, you should take the four things that are hidden in the word tochin. Rosh Tevos, Taf is tefillin, Kaf is kikar lechem, a loaf of bread, Yain saraf, some mashke, and ner, a candle. That's the story of the Baal Shem HaKadosh for this week. B'ezrat Hashem, Sichos Haran Aleinu, the Sichos of Avraham Nachman. This was your side today, and Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rosh Chodesh Teves, Chanukah. That Hashem will all be blessed. Second story is a little bit of the story of the history and things that happened. We're not going to read everything, obviously, from Rabbeinu, the holy Makubal, and Shalom Sharabi, the Rashash. That the main Siddur and Kubalim is Kavod Sarashash. And the Rabbeinu Rashash was born in Ir Sharab, as it's called Sharabi, in Yemen, and he grew up in the town of Sana'a. That's the capital city of Yemen. And when he was still a child, he was already a Gadol B'Torah, a Niglo, and a Nistar, but his main focus was in Kabbalah, Nistar. He was a very young man. He was already full with Teres and Ister. It's a known thing about him. Zerkis Varizal, and he behaved with extraordinary kedusha and tahara. And since he was a very poor bacher, he had to do to buy stuff and sell stuff, whatever, like the rest of the poor children. So he had various things that he would buy, and he would go around, and selling it. And once he went in the city of Sana, in the street of the Goyim, with a package of merchandise on his shoulder, and a Muslim daughter, a very rich woman, daughter of one of the rich people of Sana, saw him, and she called him to come to her so she can buy something of the stuff that she's selling. Now, he was famous that he didn't realize what she was, and he went up with the schayra. She opened the door. Immediately when he came there, he realized that he was facing the Nisoyin of Yosef Atzadik. There was a small window open to Shus Harabim, and he said, if Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to help him, a tiny window, he will immediately go to Eretz Yisrael. And he pushed himself through the small window, and it was almost like the third floor. He fell all the way down, and Baruch Hashem, miraculously, he wasn't damaged, and he ran. And when she saw, that he ran, she threw his package out, and he escaped, and he went from town to town until he came to the port city of Aden, that is by the Dead Sea, or the Red Sea, the Red Sea. And after sitting for a while in the city of Aden, there was a ship that traveled to India, to the city of Bombay, and from there he traveled to what is today Iraq, to the city of Basra, and then he went on the land route to Baghdad, which is the capital city of Baal, and he sat there for a little while until he found a caravan that was going to Damascus. He met with them, spent some time there, and then he went to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim. But Hashem, next week, we will continue with the history of Rabbi Shalom Shalabi and the miraculous thing that happened to him. Now, your Rishus, let's take Sichos Haran for this week and take a quick look. We are holding by Torah Amabe Sicho, Kuf Nun Ches 158, and Rabbeinu says as follows. It says that one time during his youth, he was by the Rav, and I don't know which Rav that he's talking about. And he said that at that time, he still wasn't holding a Madrega, that he was at that time when he was telling this. He will be able to speak with the people and still be completely connected, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the same time. And mamish oisek b'Torah, mamish learning Torah. He says, do you think that in one shot, in one hop, you come to all the madregas, all the milas? So it's not so. You have to work very, very hard in Avodas Hashem before you reach any kind of good mile. And as Rabbeinu said, it was very difficult for me to be together with people at that point in time. Because he wanted to be busy in Avodas Hashem. and at the same time, and now he was with people and was avodas Hashem. So he wasn't able to do it, and that's the way it kept on happening a few times when he told about the Madrega, Rabbeinu told about Madrega that he was holding. He says, but Rabbeinu says, I worked very, very hard and I fasted a lot. The main Nakuda that there's a very famous Melech that he says about Pashas Vayishlach. Yaakov Avinu sends Malachim to his brother, to Esav. And he says, so thus you shall say to my master, to Esav, I have lived with Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan, and I was held back until now. And I had an ox and a donkey, and I'm sending to let you know. Very famous Rashi in Lavan Gauti, he says, I lived with Lavan, and Gauti means I was a ger, I was an outsider, I wasn't, an emigrant, I wasn't a local, I wasn't a citizen. And the second meaning is, Garti is the letters of Taryag. He says, I lived with Lavan, he was a master criminal and con artist, V'Taryag mitzvot shamati, but I kept 613 mitzvot. So the Noam Melech says, why does Yaakov Avinu tell Esav that he kept 613 mitzvahs? I mean, you want to appease him and calm him down, and you're snubbing his nose. You're saying, you thought I'm going to go to love and he's going to corrupt me. Ha ha! I have news for you. It didn't work. Why did he do that? So the Noam Melech makes exactly that point. He says that the tzaddik, once he's in this madrega the Rabbeinu is speaking about, is talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and is speaking with people at the same time. He says, this is what the pasuk says. This is what you will say, La'adoini le'esav, to my master, to Esav. Should have said to my master, Esav. What is to my master? To Esav. So he says, to my master means to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To Esav is to Esav. In other words, he said his speech is to going to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to people at the same time. He says, Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan. To Esav, you should say, I was a ger by him, I was an immigrant, I never became, a local guy, whatever. And to Kadosh Baruch Hu, you should say, V'Taryag mitzvot shamati, and I kept the 613 mitzvahs. The tzaddik constantly is connected to Kadosh Baruch Hu and speaks with people at the same time. Rabbeinu says, but it comes through a lot of work. Rabbeinu says, he says, I fasted a lot. I worked hard. Nosson says, a person, whenever, if you can, health-wise, every once in a while, take yourself a fast day. Take a day, a Monday, a Thursday, whatever it is, and just, be makabel tinus the day before. We're not talking about doing something a lot. It's just every now and then do this. And Rabbi says you have no idea how much anguish and suffering you are saving yourself from by behaving that way, by doing it. Every once in a while. Make a tightness. Make a tightness. It can be tightness food, it can be tightness dibur, it can be tightness internet, it can be tightness, whatever it is that you can't handle. Every once in a while, mamish, do not eat for one day. Don't eat. It says, Nosson says, it says a person for Yisurim, Koshim v'marim. So hard and bitter torments, it saves a person from. Now it's obviously Rosh Chodesh, not Tanis on Rosh Chodesh. Chanukah, obviously, Chanukah is not a time for Tanis, of course. But as we need to understand, it takes work. It takes work. And as I said before, when I told Simcha Balev, that I'm unable to remove the stupidity from myself, from my actions. And I was very desperate about it. And he said to me, the answer to this is whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu does is good. That you should understand that, you should be desperate, and you should trust Kadosh Baruch Hu. In the same time, this is Tata Desata. This is two things that contradict one another. Each one, take it to where you need to take it. You need to keep both things in your mind. Kadosh Baruch Hu should help us, B'ezrat Hashem. We all have, first of all, Gewaldige Chodesh, Memoridike Chanukah, and a great week, and great life, and health, and whatever it is that each and every one of us needs, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll all have it. B'ezrat Hashem, B'ezrat Hashem to Geula Shleima, B'ezrat Hashem, soon in our days. Shkoach Godel Mitzvah Hashem. I'll see you guys Monday night. Sipurey Maisius. Be Mitzliach.